Before we begin this episode of Happy Times and Places, we would like to warn listeners that there are a couple of moments of missing footage. There's a couple of occasions when the recording glitched a little bit and we just don't have the material anymore. Appropriately then for this episode, and you'll just have to use your imaginations to guess what the missing, half syllables are. So, however, do not, when it happens, adjust your set. Normal service will be resumed. Welcome to Happy Times and Places. Basically, two Doctor Who fans, one story, between them, 10 favourite things. But will their Venn diagram intersect? Well, you can only find out if you listen to Happy Times and Places. That's what this is.
Hi there, my name is Pip Madeley, and I suppose I'm best known for being a Doctor Who nerd on Twitter, so if you're a fellow Doctor Who nerd on Twitter, then perhaps you might have heard of me. I'm taking time out today from babysitting my Vellans to watch one of my personal favourites. It's the classic 1966 William Hartnell story, The War Machines.
Well, welcome back, everybody. It is time for episode 3 of The War Machines. The World Wide Web of the War Machines. The World Wide Web of WOTAN. It's the most W story that there could possibly be. So we're going to press play in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to an episode that did not exist when I was a youngster many, many moons ago. It's astonishing to think of how many episodes we're actually missing that we've had back since. And the fact that they continue to sort of drip back and that there's always that hope. But that's one of the things I love about Doctor Who as well, is the fact that it's not all been handed to us on a plate. We've had to sort of wait for it to come back and piece it together. And actually the archaeology, there are still some episodes that we don't know exactly what happened in. And, you know, we can guess from pictures and scripts and all that sort of thing. But we have to be honest and go that, you know, any single episode that comes back will be full of surprises, because this would have, you know, just had a vague description and stuff in the script. I suppose we'd have had this from episode 2, but well, actually, of course, this episode has this because we don't have all of the fight in the warehouse at the end, all of that film sequence. Some of that stuff was cut from the print that we have. We got bits of it back from Australia or New Zealand. No, it's Australia, I think, isn't it? But not all of the cuts matched. One of the cuts matched exactly. I remember them saying when they put it together, you know, it matched to the frame. And it's the bit where the worker gets clubbed and sort of bundled up. Yes, and it's flashing black and white, this one. Yeah, just Michael Ferguson, such a good director, go, well, I'm just going to make the titles interesting too. Let's do something with those, and even make each one slightly different. And it's very computery writing. That's a nice shot, that. And I sort of I like Major Green, because they could have had sort of any sort of character doing this, but it's very much, you know, with him and with Sir Charles and Professor Crimp, who's a sort of, you know, typical sort of fussy professor type. It's that the War Machines, that WOTAN has inveigled his way into the very sort of stereotypes of that we imagine of the establishment. A very sort of popper major, you know, a fussy little scientist. You know, they're the sort of figures we were used to seeing being in charge in dramas, and now that they've been sort of alienized, it's you know, it is the sort of equivalent of what the X-Files was doing later. And I know the X-Files has a slightly more sort of grown up or whatever, or a dark atmosphere or whatever, but that's what this would have seemed like. You know, that's what this was doing. I do feel sorry. This is great though, because the humanity That Bird Saved My Life, isn't it? Even though Polly has been taken over, she does show a little bit of humanity ultimately. But actually, this is quite creepy because Polly's great and we've loved Polly and she's been funky new 60s girl, and now here she is being quite, cold and taken over by an alien, or by a computer. Right, yes. So Ben has been captured, and she looks great, doesn't she? Because she's got those big eyes in the shadows. Yeah, the machine. Oh dear, and even those double doors are great because they give it a bit of drama, don't they? And because we don't have incidental music, the noise of the machine gives the drama. It's really interesting when the show doesn't have incidental music because its music is such a vital component. He's having a drink of something, isn't he? It must be. What time of day is it? Don't see people drinking that often in Doctor Who. He's now Mr. Rose. If you've never seen Mr. Rose with William Mervyn, it is available on DVD, and it is a delightful thing, and he's absolutely brilliant in it. And it's just a great sort of comedy drama that's jolly, and lots of Who actors to spot in it too. But he was a terrific actor, and he's one of those actors that looks ancient, but I think he was only in his 60s when he died. Now, Hugh Cecil at the back there is the bald extra. He was he did quite a lot of bald extra work. He's one of the technics in Dalek's Master Plan. But yeah, you needed somebody to look bald. You got Hugh Cecil. And Kevin Cecil, the comedy writer, is a relative of his. Because I remember they put them saying, we put our Uncle Hugh in something. And of course, in the machine, it must have been a beggar to control that machine. I like the way it's sort of wobbling, because I suppose if it had been just not moving at all, you'd go, well, how do we know that it's moving? So it's just wobbling from side to side, just to remind you it's alive. Yeah. So is Polly's subconscious going? Keep this guy alive so that we can let him escape. He's worked up a sweat, hasn't he, Ben? So Brian Hodgson, the special sounds, is on overload this week, and is often, like with the Crotons, is another story where there's no incidental music, where it's the electronic sounds that keep the drama going. Bing! So there's a bit of stock music, but there's not much music, and they do like the crash zooms, don't they, into the post office tower. Here's the new thing. Let's make it. And here's how funky it is. There's a lot of lights going on as well. Now, I think that was a cut. I think that pull away from WOTAN was stolen from somewhere else, because I mean, this is why. This clip was used on a documentary called "Resistance is Useless," which thought the best way to celebrate Doctor Who would be to infer it was a bit naff in places. So this is the cut. This is another cut that has been reinstated. So that this was cut, and I think it is. There's something really creepy about the way that he's bundled up by the machine here. Look at that. I like that. That's great. It's like, yeah, he's so that was reinstated, that bit, and the bit where Crimpton was talking It's interesting because that's a cut where it's just going, we will destroy all human life. They go, no, the people of wherever it is can't stand for the idea that these machines might destroy human life. I mean, don't know what sort of program you think you're watching, but let's not have moments where they threaten death and destruction. That's where like poor old Polly's knackered. They've ruffled her hair a bit. But it's a pretty harsh policy, isn't it? As soon as you can't work anymore, we'll knock you out and bundle you across. Oh, Polly, you've really fallen hook, line, and sinker for it. Good old Ben. These two make an immediate impact, and you've sort of forget. You can't imagine Dodo in the story anymore, which is a shame. I mean, I'm a big fan of, Quatermass and the Pit, which this starts to resemble very shortly when the soldiers come, and all of this stuff's very good. It's sort of dramatic stuff. I know it's just men in a warehouse doing things, but chucking the gun from one to the other, putting those bomb things in the boxes, and there's a real sort of momentum there preparing for action. I mean, this is all. I mean, the first 3 episodes are all about the preparatory work, really, for the spearhead or the invasion or whatever. But that's nice. Anything that shows humanity seeping through into somebody that has been taken over, I think, is quintessential Doctor Who. Is that whatever happens, if a glimmer of what makes humanity special, because yes, we have our problems and there's lots about us that's bad and all that sort of thing, but the humanity that does poetry and Shakespeare and beauty and humor and all of those sorts of things that we love, that we like to think make us worth saving, when those things show through, that's always the triumph of humanity, whatever you like to call humanity. Our ability to make a well-prepared meal and enjoy a sunset. And Polly does also, of course, survive to make many, many a cup of coffee. So perhaps that's what Peter Davison should have said in Earthshock. The ability to have a nice cup of coffee. Because they're a great contrast for Hartnell, aren't they, Ben and Holly? Because, he's young and active and action, and she's sort of modern and cool and sophisticated, and then you've got the old eccentric guy. And I think I would have happily seen another season of Hartnell and Ben and Polly. I'd have happily seen another season of Troughton and Ben and Polly, and I love Jamie, but maybe if the Highlanders had come at the end of Troughton's first season, we could have had a little bit more of these guys, because once Fraser comes in and as Lloyd gets out his big red pen again and goes, well, get rid of you guys, just like we did the people that you replaced. Harsh. And Innes Lloyd, by all accounts, was an absolutely lovely fellow. Hartnell's in great form in this. And I like the sort of rapport that he fits in so well with this. It makes you sort of go, I wonder why they didn't have Doctor Who. I mean, Hartnell is being Pertwee here, essentially, although with slightly less contempt for the man from the Ministry. But he's in absolute command of this situation, and he fits in brilliantly. In this sort of backdrop. I love William Mervyn because he's got that sort of thing of being terribly affronted by the fact that we might be overtaken by aliens. If you consider it necessary, Doctor Who, even though I only met you 2 episodes ago, and we've not really been properly introduced. And then the army come in, and it's the first time we see the British Army in Doctor Who. And I know UNIT are the United Nations Intelligence Task Force, but they're essentially the British Army. And of course, My first Doctor Who target novelisation was The Web of Fear, so I consider that very much to be the ground zero of Doctor Who, even though I'd seen Doctor Who on the telly. So the Doctor supported by soldiers, and it's a very clever way of the series having its cake and eating it, because the Doctor doesn't do guns and violence and that sort of thing, but happy hang around with people who do, just in case he needs something blowing up. And that's the wonderful liberal hypocrisy at the heart of my worldview of Doctor Who. I know a lot of people see people who are perhaps from the right of politics, which I'm not, would go, well, no, what Doctor Who does is he sees a bad thing and he destroys it, which is what we should do with bad things, and you should be, and that is a perfectly legitimate for a character who's blown up his fair share of aliens. That is a perfectly legitimate view, and I'm aware that mine is slightly more hypocritical, where I go, no, he doesn't take life and he doesn't hold weapons. You go, yeah, but he does let other people do that. I mean, even recently at the end of the Timeless Children one, where the Doctor goes, I can't do this, and then Ian McElhenney from Game of Thrones goes, I can do it because I'm old and don't mind dying, and she goes, well, all right, you can do it then. You go, well, I haven't quite let you off the hook morally, has it? Excellent telephone acting there from William Mervyn. Yeah, very good telephone acting, William Mervyn, to give everybody else a chance. Are we still in the studio? Yeah. No, we're on film, and this is great. Look at this. You don't expect to see this sort of stuff with the Hartnell Doctor at all. I still think it looks quite novel because I'm so used to his other sorts of adventures that are either in space or in the past, generally. And I think this is thrilling. I think to have been a kid watching this, used to, well, I know alien planets are thrilling, but there's something so immediate about this. And Frank Jarvis there, he was a good actor, who wasn't terribly lucky with Doctor Who after this, playing as he does Scart in Power of Kroll and Buckethead number 2 in Underworld. John Rolfe as the captain, who's a bit luckier because he's in the Green Death and the Moonbase prior to that. He worked. I felt he only died last year, John Rolfe. He did a show. My brother had one foray into the world of acting as one of the princes in the tower at Ludlow Festival, and John Rolfe was in it. And my brother Paddy said he was absolutely lovely. But when I sent John Rolfe some stuff to sign when he declined to do the Moonbase commentary for us, and people decline for various reasons. They want to travel, they're ill, don't remember anything. But he wrote a thing back saying, no, thanks, but no thanks. So I sent him some stuff to get signed because we do some sort of charity things, picture frames and stuff, to then get as many signatures as we can. He sent them, and I sent them recorded delivery. He sent them back, but didn't sign them. No cover note. And you go, oh, it's because no, and I know because some elderly people go, oh well, it's because they will be sold on eBay. Yeah, there's any reasons why I think people feel that they could potentially be exploited. So, but and I'd said in the thing, oh, my brother was in Richard III with you and blah blah blah, but no, nothing. I thought that yeah. Anyway, shame. But he's a good actor. And he's good as the captain in this. Now, we're missing some of this battle. I know that the restoration team pieced this together as best they could, and they listened to the soundtrack and go, okay, we've got those bits, but there's still some bits that were deemed too violent for everywhere. So we've probably got a couple of really good deaths or something, or scary moments of peril that we've lost out on. But this is brilliant. I love all of this stuff. And poor old Alan Curtis is in the studio in close-up doing all the dialogue, really. There's quite a lot of onus, actually, on him and John Cater and John Harvey, where they're having to do most of the speaking about what's going on. But it's not terribly rewarding stuff to do. And it, you know, it's not dialogue that really sort of means anything. It's just sort of, the enemies are in the building, they must be destroyed. Just to have something to sort of cut back to. But it's quite peculiar, and I think they're rather heroic. So yeah, there's some scrapping. Now I think that worker fighting there is the same worker that gets knocked out earlier, so I think he must be a stuntman. So yeah, we don't know exactly what we're missing here, and I know there's a few reversals and a few cutaways, and of course it's not quite clear because and there's an actor called Robin Dawson who's credited as Soldier, but there's not a soldier who has a line, so I don't know if he gets a particular death or something, but we don't know who he is. We don't even know which one he is really, because there are lots of soldiers, but there doesn't seem to be one that gets a special thing to do that isn't the Sergeant John Boyd Brent, the Captain John Rolfe, or the Corporal Frank Jarvis. Yeah, go on, Alan. You keep giving us bits of dialogue. I suppose that could be Robin Dawson, could it? Because he gets bits to do, but that's stunt work, isn't it? But yeah, this is very modern for Doctor Who of this time. Yeah, run away! Oh, somebody's going to get killed here. Yeah. Oh dear. Yeah, because the guns aren't working. So I think it's, yeah, I wondered if it was, how clear it was whether the guns are working or not. But yeah, because you're expecting a big sort of battle. There's a fantastic moustache on that soldier with the swagger cane at the back. I wonder if that was his own moustache. You can tell from the quality of this. This is some of the stuff that's been reinserted. But it's not massive. It's not hugely distinct, is it? And some of it's very unclear. But I mean, deliberately so, because the fight sequences with quick cuts and everything are that helps to sell them, because with a static wide camera or just a couple of cameras on it in the studio, it can look a bit naff, as some studio bound fights in Doctor Who have proved over the years. But I think Michael Ferguson is a good action director, so I think his use of close-ups and slightly indistinct shots also helps us cover it when there's indistinct. Look at that moustache. I wonder if he was somebody. We need somebody to play a scene. Oh, Wilf's get that guy Wilf. He's got his own moustache, because sometimes you say, like, I've got my own taxi cab, or I've got my own horse, I've got my own military moustache. I love this shot, because I remember that was used on the video when they showed some of the film sequences, and this stuff looks gorgeous. Yeah, look at that. That is beautiful. That is absolutely gorgeous. Pristine film. Looks like it was done yesterday, doesn't it? And having those soldiers, look at that. That's cracking. I love all of this. This is really exciting and thrilling. And Pat Gorman, as if you couldn't ask for anything more. Pat Gorman has obviously changed sides, because he was one of the working baddies last week. Now there's the guy with the okay moustache at the back. But there's another guy with an even better moustache. I mean, you could certainly get a grip on those if the situation requires you to. Now this is interesting, because obviously I haven't got all of the film snippets, because this isn't quite so good quality as the other stuff. So it really has been sort of pieced together. But I have to say it is slightly. I know it's a plot thing that the guns don't work, but of course, and so it's a very clever way of having a cake and eating it. So we got lots of soldiers charging around, but we don't have to spend any money on blank ammunition and all of that sort of thing. But it does mean you miss a lot. If you're after Boy's Own Adventure, you do lose a bit of the exciting gunfire. But this is magnificent. Everybody runs off, and Doctor Who, look at him. What a hero. Unperturbed. He isn't going to back off. And it's great because it's a cliffhanger of, well, it's not just that the Doctor's in danger, because he obviously doesn't think he is, but it's a kind of, what the hell is going on? And the light, again, the use of that light, that's brilliant. I love that. Although it's quite unclear, isn't it? You're going, what's happening? But that's what makes you tune in next week. So yeah, Worker Eddie Davis and Soldier Robin Dawson. Well, I don't think we're quite sure exactly which of those two guys are, because there's plenty of workers and there's plenty of soldiers, but and they're not guys that we've seen in anything else. That's as far as I can remember from in my trying to work out, everything we know about every single credited performer in Doctor Who. I know there's always been a little bit of mystery or uncertainty around those two, but you don't care about that. What you care about is, there's an actor called Edward David in the Quatermass Experiment playing Indian journalist, which makes you probably quite pleased that episode doesn't exist, because it would probably be fairly awkward. But Edward David, I've never seen in anything else either. And I remember when I think I first saw this and the credits were quite indistinct, I was like, is it Eddie David? Oh, hang on, have I found... No, Eddie Davis. So I don't think he's the same as Edward David. And it's interesting because you think of, oh, well, it could be because they're quite close to each other. Well, no, the War Machines is 13 years after the Quatermass Experiment, so plenty of time for somebody to stop acting or die or do whatever, but we think of the, if you don't think about it too hard, you think, oh well, they're probably not, they didn't follow on too long. Well, actually, yeah, the War Machines is the equivalent of early Tom Baker away from the first episode, which we consider quite a stretch. So although Quatermass was a little before, it was actually long enough before. God, it was already 13 years old. No wonder I was scuppered when I started looking to it, because I wasn't even born until how many years after this was I born? 8 years after this. So yeah, Quatermass Experiment was 21 years old when I was born. My goodness. Anyway, what is Pip Madeley's favourite? Well, what is my favourite thing? What is my favourite thing about the War Machines episode 3? Is it the cliffhanger? Is it the stuff? Well, Pip's going to choose something daft, isn't he? I do like the stuff with the soldiers. I do like Polly's glimmer of humanity. I think I'm going to go for that cliffhanger because Hartnell often, certainly in this period, has a rap for being not always on top of his game. I think he's absolutely majestic in this, and I think he looks great. And because the cliffhanger's got the light going on as well, but as well as that shot, I'm going to go for the cliffhanger for episode 3. What's Pip going for?
Okay, on to 3. Great thing number 3 is the cliffhanger to episode 3. I think it's fantastic. You've got the army doing a runner after that pretty interminable battle scene, which goes on and on and on. The War Machine's on the warpath. It's got a massive fire extinguisher, which seems to have the opposite effect of actually setting stuff on fire. Well, I don't understand how that works, but there you go. And you've got the Doctor stood in its way. He steps towards the machine. He's got his thumbs on his lapels. He straightens his back. Totally defiant. Iconic William Hartnell moment. So that's number 3. Oh, and it's also worth mentioning that if you watch carefully, you can actually see William Mervyn, who plays Sir Charles Summer. You can see him accidentally bump his head on one of the arches. Watch it and I promise you'll never not see it again.
Ah, I might go back and watch that. So, yeah, good. Now, so if you've just watched The War Machines, now go back and watch it all over again, but without me chuntering through it, because I'm going to stop now, and I will return for the conclusion of this in the next episode of Happy Times and Places. I hope this has transported you to one or both of those things. Thanks very much for watching and or listening, and I will be speaking to you very shortly. Thanks. Bye for now. Thank you so much for listening to Happy Times and Places, presented as ever by me, Toby Hadoke. My special guest this time around is Pip Madeley, wizard of Twitter, who can be followed at Pip Madeley, and his feed is full of joyous Doctor Who related fun and nonsense, and I know you'll have a good time there, so give him a follow. I would like to thank the patrons who support this podcast, and they include Charles Coffin, Ruben Herfindahl, Rob Dawson, Robert Davis, Tim Dickinson, Paul Dykes, Andrew East, Mark Findlay Smith, David Gillespie, Charles Gears, Lisa Gledhill, Robin Groen, Paul J. Guest, Susan Harrison, Steve Hatcher, Duncan Harvey, Simon Hodges, Sam Hollingsworth, Matthew Hooliston, Darren Howard, Gregory Hudson, David Hughes, Paul Ingerson, Robert Jewell, Christopher Joyce, and WOTAN. The music is by Dave Gates. If you too would like to submit to the will of WOTAN and become a patron, you can do so at patreon.com/ where you get your mind taken over, but it's all right because your will has been sapped, that you'll enjoy the extra goodies, the exclusive material, the releases well in advance of what the great unwashed are getting. You dirty people, you're just on the War Machines. The clean ones in Patronville, oh my goodness, the delights they've had. Inferno, Family of Blood, all sorts of things by the time you listen to this on iTunes, where, by the way, if you give this 5 stars and a few lines of positive review, it really, really helps with algorithms and passing trade and all sorts of horrible cyberspace shenanigans that we have to do well if we're to get the attention that we crave. When I say we, I mean I'm pretending there's a team and a group of people. It's just me yelling into thin air. But don't make it in vain. Don't make it in vain. Give me the attention my father never gave me. Or you can go to ko-fi.com/ Toby Hadoke and chuck me a few quid to shut up. Well, no, actually, if you chuck me a few quid, I won't shut up. I'll carry on talking. If that's what you want, if you want me to shut up, just ignore me and I'll go away. Eventually. But not just yet. If you really like the talking thing, go to Excess Malarkey Comedy Club every Tuesday in Manchester at 8 p.m. I'm the regular MC, and there's usually 4 excellent comedians on, and it's a not-for-profit comedy club, so it charges very, very small entry fee. And online, we do it once a month on twitch.tv/Excess Malarkey. That's actually free, although there is a donation option, and it's 4 comics from the international comedy circuit, with, inevitably, me banging on again. So all this stuff is mostly me. I'm terribly sorry.